Hey you, how's it going? We're going to explore today present continuous and frequency adverbs. Those are two very boring grammar terms, but what we do with them in communication is quite interesting. The terms themselves, I would say, don't concentrate so much on those. For example, here I have a screwdriver, and when I'm using it to tighten a screw or loosen a screw, I'm not thinking about the fact that it's called a screwdriver. I just use it to do what I need to do. However, if I'm working with somebody else and they need a screwdriver, they're going to ask it for by name. And so it helps you and a teacher communicate so that you know exactly what it is that you're talking about, trying to construct English and be communicative with it. So when we say present continuous, what do we mean? What do you mean by that? Well, if I say I eat junk food every day and I like it, that's not a present continuous. That's just something that I do every day. If I say I'm eating junk food right now, I wish I was, but it means that at this very moment, I'm in the process of eating that food. And so how do I do that? How do I communicate something that's in process in the moment that I'm speaking? Well, we talk about right now, but what does right now really mean? It can mean a lot of things. It's the point in time where you are, okay? But that point in time can be a very small point in time, like this very moment, or it could mean today, for example. Like today, I'm recording a video. It could mean this week. This week, I'm watching a series on Netflix. This month, it could be this year. It's just the point of time where you find yourself. The way that we use it is with a simple ing form of the verb. Now you can see here at the table that we have 5 verb forms, and we're using the form that is the ing form, and we use it with be. Now we'll say be in the form of am or is or are. For example, I am landing a helicopter. I don't know how to fly helicopters. I don't know. I'm landing one, and it's probably not going to be a very good landing because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. But that's how we use the present continuous. Let's take a look at a few examples here. In these examples, you're going to see some written text, and I want you to pay attention to the red parts of that and where those red parts are in relation to the rest of the sentence. Let's take a look. He's walking on a goalpost. He's, I. No, it's a, yeah, he's wishing he was smart. Man, it's gotta hurt. Let's see, what's she doing here? She's practicing for the Olympics. No. No, well, yeah. She's not making good progress, that's for sure. Let's hope she puts a good 3 hours in today and a good 3 hours in for about another 6 years and see how she goes. Bob is stopping the runaway hay bale. See how that goes. Oh, no. Bob is learning how to make quick decisions. Well, we hope that Bob is learning now to make quick decisions. Man, look at that. He did not stop the hay bale in any way whatsoever. He did nothing whatsoever to stop that hay bale. Okay, Bill is bringing drinks to his friends. Oh, no, that's not good. Come on, Bill. Nobody is having fun now. Nobody. But you know, you put the chairs and tables so close to the pool like that. Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful at all times. Come on, Bill. Okay. She's reporting the news. No, it's just a, look at his face. It's a, she's having a heart attack. Yeah. Well, you can see in these examples, right? He's walking on a goalpost, and you look at the red in there, and that's basically what we use for present continuous. Okay, we use the be and then the verb with the ing, and simple as that. Simple as that. We're talking about he's walking on a goalpost right now. He's in the process of doing it. And basically, the way that we do that in Spanish is exactly the same, if you think about it. Because we will use está caminando, right? He is walking, está caminando. The same logic there. You can see in the red where the same logic is. You have the be with the está, and then you have the ando, which is the ing, with the caminando. So you have a very clear correlation with the logic when we talk about present continuous between English and Spanish. And it's pretty cool to be able to notice that. Okay, well, he's not walking anymore, and he's in the hospital now, and we hope he will be walking soon, right? But he's not doing well right now, because we saw what happened on that goalpost. Not so good. Just to give an overview of how this breaks down, you have the Spanish here, right? Estoy, estás, está, estamos, están. And you have over here the English, which is exactly the same with the I am, you are, he, she, or it is, we are, and they are. And I'm going to put in here in red so that you see exactly which parts correspond to which. Now, you have the hoy of estoy, and you know that that refers to yo, right? You know, which in English is I. And you have the as, the estás. You know I'm referring to estás, you know I'm referring to tú. And we know that tú significa you, right? So it's you are. Entonces, you can see the correlation there, right? Estás referring to you are. We're using the same logic to talk about the same things. Está, we're always referring to él or ella, right? He, she, or it too. And it's very important that we use it if we're talking about something that's not a person. We have to say it is, right? Instead of just simply is. Is fun? No, it is fun, right? Is driving? It is driving. We have to say it. Right? Estamos. We know that we're talking about nosotros. Right? So we know that nosotros is we. We are, right? And then we have están, which is ellos, and which means they in English. And so you can see here that the same way that we use a present continuous in Spanish, we use the same thing in English as well. And it's good to be able to visualize that when you're talking to someone and you're trying to express yourself. But one thing that we often do in English is we contract the subject and the auxiliary. So instead of saying I am, we say I'm. And we say you're. And we say he's or she's or it's. And we say we're. And we say you're. And it's very common that we speak this way in English.
I'm trying not to lose my head.
Let's take a look at what I mean by that. So we have here, he's driving a car. And so you can see that he is driving a car, but when we pronounce it in the real world and the way that we speak to other native speakers in the real world, it comes out sounding like what you see in the blue here. He's driving a car. He's driving a car. Just like that. And you can pause the video and practice that if you want. He's driving a car. Okay. And you can see with these other sentences too, like they're going somewhere. Where are they going? I don't know. But they're going somewhere. They are going somewhere. Well, I don't like the way this is looking. She's running in front of the car. And let's hope she doesn't get hurt while she does it, but she's running in front of the car. And I'm feeling nervous because it looks like she's going to get hurt. And so you can see that contractions are something that we use very, very often. It's a part of the normal way that we speak to each other. And when I'm learning a language, I always want to know those little details, because if I learn he is driving a car, but people in the real world are saying he's driving a car, then I want to know how to say that. That's how people sound when they talk. He's driving a car. So we use contractions, yeah, very, very often. And speaking of often, often is a frequency adverb, and we have quite a list of frequency adverbs that we use. Frequency, meaning that maybe something happens all the time, like always, or Maybe something never happens at all. And we have a lot of words that mean those things or mean a lot of things in between as well. Most of these, I think, are very clear. You kind of look at them and you know basically what they're saying. We have, like, for example, always and almost always and usually and normally, often, frequently, sometimes, rarely, seldom, hardly ever, almost never, and never. Most of those are recognizable. I imagine that you might wonder what rarely and seldom mean. Rarely and seldom refer to con muy poca frecuencia, casi nunca. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say rarely is something like 2 or 3 maybe. If you say hardly ever, normally when you see the word hardly, you think of something like difícilmente, but it doesn't mean that. Hardly is more like como apenas, maybe. Hardly ever is kind of like saying casi nunca. On a scale of 1 to 10, hardly ever would be like 1 or less. Just the same as almost never. And of course, you know, never is like 0, right? Jamás, never. So we have all these range of frequency adverbs that we use. And in Spanish, we have a range of words that we use also. In English, however, how do we use these frequency adverbs? Where do we put them in a sentence that makes sense? If you look here, you'll see 2 examples, and where that space is where a frequency adverb can always go. It doesn't matter which frequency adverb you're using, it can always go there and it can make sense. So for example, if you say, I always work, you can say that. I sometimes work. I never work on Sundays, or I sometimes work on Saturdays. And so you can kind of see where that goes there. If we're going to use frequency adverbs in a present continuous, which is not very often actually, but sometimes we can say like, I'm working very hard this week. I am working, and you put the be on the left side, and then you put the frequency adverb and then the verb after it. And basically that's the idea. It's very simple like that. Let's take a look at some examples here, and you can agree with me or not agree with me about which frequency adverb you might use for these situations. Let's take a look. Does this ever happen? Does whatever. Okay. No, man. Are you serious? That's a very freak luck kind of thing. It almost never happens. You'd say this rarely happens. And that's exaggerating, I think. Probably this almost never happens. What about this one? Now, you can say most of us do not often go out in the water with alligators, but when we do, where's the safest place to grab the alligator, do you think? Do you think try to grab him by his mouth or try to grab him by his tail? I don't know. This looks like a pretty safe way to handle an alligator if I had to handle one. It looks like the right way, especially if I want to show the alligator who's boss. I would go with something like this. And so I would say that while we don't often get in the water with alligators, that yes, once we are in the water with alligators, that yes, this often happens. What adverb would you use there? What frequency adverb would you use? Yeah, let's see what we have. So we got a car. Yeah, this is what happens, I would say, normally in cities that have too many cars in them now, and the cars, they'll park over the sidewalk, and of course when the horses come pulling the wagons down the sidewalk, of course they're going to crash into that car. Too many cars on the streets, and this is what happens. So this normally happens, I would say. Ah, man, back in the old days we never understood how dangerous these animals were. They get up on top of those buildings like that, and you know, you go fly, hey, let's get a closer look. You know, grab that plane and just throw it down like a... So yeah, nowadays, nobody gets that close to these animals when they're up there on the top of the buildings like that. I would say, yeah, this hardly ever happens. Okay, you got a little bike here. No matter what we're doing in life, This always happens. It doesn't matter if it's a very specifically a face in animal excrement or if it's just a figurative way. When you're learning English, this happens. When I'm trying to speak Spanish, sometimes that happens. So I would say that always happens. Well, let's see what this guy's going to do. He's just going... Look, if you don't know how to surf, if you're like me and you don't know how to surf, you have to admit that this sometimes happens. Very embarrassing, yes, but it can happen to the best of us, and I can easily see that happening to me if I go out and try to surf. Well, there you have it. Very briefly, an overview of how to use present continuous and frequency adverbs, how to use them to your advantage communicatively, when to use it, why to use it, how to use it, and exactly how it corresponds to what you already know in your own language. Because at the end of the day, all we're doing is trying to be clear with people and make sure that the people we're talking to understand us like we want to be understood. So I hope that information is helpful for you. Work with it, just practice with it, right? And just have some fun with it if you can. Well, that's all I have for now. I will talk to you soon. And until then, have a good one. See you.